This video will be on the burse. For the pattern, you need 2 pieces of fabric, 2 pieces of lining, either the lining or of linen, and you're going to cut it. It will be 10 1/4 inches long by 9 1/2 inches wide, and you'll center wherever you want your cross 4 3/4 inches from the bottom. So what I want you to do is I want you to take the fabric and I want you to put a pin along the bottom edge of both of the fabric pieces so you know which part will be stitched on the sewing machine, because the other part up here will be done by hand. So you're going to need 2 of the side panels. It's 9 1/2 inches by 4 inches. And you're going to take the fabric and you're going to, with the right sides, you turn it and turn it to the wrong side. And then you stitch it down on both of these, both of the small pieces. You'll also need some cardboard. I use matting I buy at the framing store. I cut mine 8 1/2 inches square. You can either have them do it, or you can get a quilting board and use a quilting ruler, and you measure, and this is the quilting, a rotary cutter, and you would measure and use the quilting cutter. You have to press down pretty hard and see that it's separated before you take it up, because a lot of times you think you've gone hard enough and you haven't. So you can either have them do it or you can do it, whatever you wish. So we're going to be, when we insert these cardboard pieces into the burse, I put an arrow, and I put number 1, and I put an arrow which way they go in to slip into the burse. Sometimes you have to adjust these. You either have to adjust the board, cut a little bit more off, or you have to adjust the seam. Because when you sit down to sew, you don't use the same pressure all the time to sew. Anyway, so now you're going to take, I use 4-inch crosses. That's up to you whether you want to or not. It's still going to be centered in the same place. So I'm going to find where I want on the pattern, put the cross. I'm going to put a piece of fabric behind, because sometimes the fabric is pretty slim, very flimsy. And then I do a stay stitch around it. I stitch the cross on. Then when I'm done, I'll take out the stay stitches and I'll cut around it. And when you cut, I want you to hold, it seems kind of a silly thing, but it's really not. You're going to cut this way here, okay? Not the other way, because sometimes you end up cutting the fabric. It's not going to make you very happy. Okay. So now we have the pin where I told you the seam is going to be, right? Put the pin up here, attach the lining or the linen to the top, put it on top of the fabric, and stitch it from 1/2 inch on either side, cross, and you lift it up, and you put these side panels right sides together and pin it and sew it from the top to the bottom. Turn this side, top to bottom. Don't do it from bottom to top. It'll buckle a little at the top and you won't be happy. Okay, so that's going to be that part. And now, after we have that done, you can go to the next part. Depends on whether you want to put a 1/2 inch trim around it or not. That's up to you. Not all of them will have the trim. But what I do is I take the piece of cardboard and I put it on top, and I make a chalk line at the bottom, and then I stitch it. This one here I used red thread. You probably can't see it, but use a color that you can see, because that's going to be your outline for your 1/2 inch trim. On this corner here, you're going to leave a little bit down, because you're going to end up having to turn this under, like so. So you want to have a little bit of extra. So you're going to go up. You're going to take it and bring it to the corner make a nice fold in the corner. Go to the other corner and fold. Have your folds the same way. The bottom, you're going to have your folds going this way. So the one side where it's going to be the opposite, you're not going to be able to. It'll work fine. Okay? You just have to keep turning the trim depending on which way you want the angles to go. And when you come to the last corner, you're going to follow the red line or the whatever line you have at the bottom, whatever color, you're going to follow that line. So when you come to this corner here, tuck it under, turn it this way, tuck it under to make the V like that, and then take this piece and tuck it underneath and tack it. Double check it when you're all done. Take the matting, put it on top, and make sure that you can't see any of the trim. And it'll be pretty straight. When you're done with that part, then you're going to take, make sure this piece tucked. Okay, I'm going to take out these pins. This piece will be tucked like this. This will go on top. And you're going to sew down as far as your piece of matting is. Go down to as far as your matting is. Put a pin down here. Oops, let me bring it up so you can see. Put a pin down here and just sew along this edge here. Okay, let's put this off to the side here. So once you've sewn that, I want you to turn it with the right side out. I want you to put the cardboard in there and see how it fits. You will adjust either the cardboard or the seam to have it as taut as you want it. Not too tight so it bows. You don't want it to bend. You don't want the cardboard to bend, but tight enough so it's nice and taut. I have a white one here. Here it is. That's done. So you can see it should look something like that. Okay? You adjust it to fit how you like it. So now that you've done that and you have it and you know that the cardboard fits, then you can turn it inside out. Again. I know you're going back and forth, back and forth. But what you're going to do is you're going to clip these ends. This is another one. I have all of them kind of half done, okay? The corners are going to be clipped like this. Go here, turn it a little bit, and go like that. Okay? It's going to be very bulky in those corners, so you want to make sure that you take away that extra fabric. This fabric is very slim. There's hardly anything to this, but some of them are quite heavy, and then you can turn it to the right side again. Because now when you're done with that part, you have another part to do. So we've checked the cardboard, we put it in, now we're going to do the next part. We're going to take the one that we haven't worked on yet, so now we have the lining up here in the fabric, and your pin should be up here, right? Okay, so we're going to attach those little pieces that were sticking out to here. Sew it from here down. Take this top piece, sew it from here down to the edge of the cardboard. Then when that is done, you're going to tuck this part in, and you're going to sew. Now that other little piece, you're going to sew it from the top down to the bottom here. When you're done with that, then you're going to take the lining, fold it over here, and you're going to sew it. Turn it. So you're sewing it from the top to the bottom and only to the edge of the cardboard. And then when you're done with that, you're going to turn it right side out, put the piece of matting inside, see how it fits, adjust it, take the cardboard out, flip it again, cut the corners, put the cardboard back in. I know it's a lot of back and forth, but you want to make sure that the cardboard fits correctly. I'm going to give you a little sample here. This is how the edges of those inside corners should look. So you clip these away. See now why I only want you to sew from here to there and stop, and then from here down and stop? Because if you went further, you would end up clipping the stitches when you clip the corners. So now here we have, there's another burse again. I put the cardboard back in, and at this point you're going to press it. So I just lay it, press it down, turn it, press it, flip it on the sides, press it here, flip it. Okay, before we finish up that last end, otherwise you are not going to be able to get a nice flat finish. Now for the ending. Okay, the ending is, now I've already kind of clipped it, so this would be the lining that's sticking out up here, and I've cut a triangle, a square, rectangle down, across, and up, just so I don't have a lot of fabric. And I stitch it across here, and you have to maneuver the fabric. You're just going to flip this in between the cardboard. You're going to turn these edges and flip them in, turn and turn this, and pin it and stitch it. If this is your first burse, please do not use something very heavy. Try to find a lightweight fabric, because this last part here is very tricky. Now, this is the hardest one to work on. Take your time, go over the instructions again, make sure you understand what I've done, and good luck and good sewing.